This happened to me last year, and I still get chills thinking about it. Like, I'm not even kidding. I moved into this apartment complex after getting a promotion at work. Nothing fancy, just a one-bedroom in a decent area that I could finally afford on my own. The first week there, I met my neighbor, a woman named Lisa. She seemed nice enough, middle-aged, always smiling, worked from home. She noticed I was getting a lot of packages delivered. I had ordered a bunch of stuff for the new place, and she offered to take them in for me when I was at work. I thought that was super helpful, especially since package theft was common in the area. For about 2 months, everything was fine. Lisa would text me when something arrived, and I'd pick it up from her after work. She'd always invite me in for coffee, but I usually just said thanks and took my stuff. I remember thinking how lucky I was to have such a nice neighbor. Then weird stuff started happening. I got an email about a missed payment for a credit card I didn't remember opening. I figured it was just spam and deleted it. But then another email came, and another. Different accounts, all saying I was late, on payments. I called my bank, and they told me my credit score had dropped almost 100 points in just a few weeks. I spent hours on the phone with credit agencies. They kept listing accounts I never opened, store credit cards, online, shopping accounts, even a car loan application. Someone had stolen my identity, but I couldn't figure out how. I hadn't lost my wallet, and I'm pretty careful with my personal info online. One day, I decided to take a day off work to deal with all this mess. I was also expecting an important package with a replacement debit card. I wanted to be home when it arrived. When the delivery guy showed up, he looked confused to see me. "Oh, you're home today?" he asked. "Your sister usually signs for these." My heart literally stopped. "My sister?" I asked. "I'm an only child." "Yeah, the lady next door. She always shows your ID when she signs. I figured you were roommates or something." I felt sick. I thanked him and went inside, trying to process what I'd just learned. Lisa had been collecting my packages, but she wasn't just being neighborly. She had somehow gotten my ID. But how? I remembered all those times she invited me in for coffee. Was she just being friendly, or was she studying my routine? How many of my packages had she opened before resealing them and giving them to me? I called the police. They took my statement but didn't seem too concerned at first. It wasn't until I mentioned all the fraudulent accounts that they started taking it seriously. They got a search warrant for Lisa's apartment 2 days later. What they found was way worse than I imagined. She had a whole filing cabinet with folders on everyone in the building. Mine was the thickest. It had copies of my personal documents, notes about my work schedule, and even pictures of me that I didn't know were taken. She had opened over $47,000 in credit under my name. But the scariest part was how organized it all was. She had details on when each person in the building received mail, what our patterns were, which of us lived alone. There were even notes about previous tenants who had moved out years ago. The police told me she'd been doing this for at least 5 years. 5 years of watching people, collecting information, stealing identities, and nobody had noticed. I moved out the next month. I still check my credit report weekly. I installed cameras at my new place. I don't accept packages unless I'm there to receive them myself, and I don't talk to my neighbors anymore. Not even the nice ones. I never paid much attention to the man who moved into the house behind mine last year. He was quiet and kept to himself. A shabby wooden fence separated our yards, and we only exchanged nods when we happened to be outside at the same time. After a messy breakup, I moved into this place. The rent was cheap, which felt like luck. I work from home and spend long hours alone. About 3 months ago, I began noticing strange things. My coffee mug would appear in a different spot. The bathroom door sometimes stood open when I always closed it. Mud showed up on my kitchen floor even though I stayed inside all day because of rain. I blamed stress and forgetfulness. My sister recommended a video doorbell after her Amazon package was stolen. I installed one after finding my front door unlocked, even though I was certain I had locked it. For weeks, the footage showed nothing unusual. Then last Tuesday, while brushing my teeth, I spotted a fresh crack in the drywall behind my bathroom mirror. I pried it open with a screwdriver and discovered a tiny camera mounted on a bracket with a wire snaking into the wall aimed directly at my shower. My hands shook so violently that I nicked myself on the drywall. I remembered every odd incident. I called the police, and when they arrived, an officer scanned the walls and found 17 more hidden cameras throughout my home, in the bedroom, living room, and even aimed at the toilet. Some had microphones. A technician explained they were connected to the house electrical system, not battery-powered. The signals led to the attic of the house behind me. Inside, officers uncovered computers, hard drives, and monitors. My neighbor had installed cameras in 6 homes in the neighborhood for years, including previous tenants. They also found a journal explaining how he acquired the rental property because its position gave him access to multiple houses. He made excuses, feeding pets or fixing things, to gain entry and install his devices. On his computer were folders labeled by address and residence names, containing 12 terabytes of recordings of private moments, complete with a rating system for clips. Some devices even had two-way audio, allowing him to whisper to people as they slept or move objects at night to unnerve them. Since the raid, I've been unable to sleep. The police arrested my neighbor, and I've moved in with my parents until I find a new place. Yet I still check the walls, over light switches, behind baseboards, above door frames. I scan for cameras in every corner. The detective revealed my neighbor kept meticulous notes about my routines, shower times, sleep habits, and when I left for errands. He knew exactly when I would be alone or away, allowing him to adjust equipment without detection. I feel perpetually watched. I wonder what essential moments he recorded and whether those whispers I dismissed as dreams were really him. Sometimes at night, I wake convinced that something in my room has shifted just enough to remind me of his presence. I still dread walking past that fence, imagining eyes observing me through a lens. Every time I think I'm safe, I remember how easily privacy can be stolen, and I feel vulnerable again. I never thought I'd be sharing this story, not sure why I'm typing it out now. Maybe as a warning to others. After Jake died last year, I was pretty much lost. Didn't know how to fix a leaky faucet or change the filters in the furnace. Jake always did that stuff. That's when Martin started helping out. He lived 3 houses down. This skinny old guy with white hair who always wore the same blue sweater vest. Must have been in his 70s, but still pretty strong. At first I thought it was just neighbor kindness, you know? He'd come over, fix little things around the house, refuse payment, said he was just being neighborly. I remember one day my car wouldn't start, and I was gonna be late for work. Martin appeared in my driveway, like he could sense the problem. Fixed it in like 10 minutes. I baked him cookies as thanks. Anyway, about 3 months after Jake died, I noticed something weird. My pain pills from my back surgery. There weren't as many as there should be. I figured I was just being forgetful. Grief does that to you, makes your brain foggy. But then, my blood pressure meds started going missing too. I started counting them, even marked the bottle with a tiny dot to make sure I wasn't crazy. Next day, bottle moved, dot on a different spot. 4 pills gone. I didn't want to believe it was Martin. He'd been so nice. But one day I pretended to leave for work, then came back through the back door. Found him in my bathroom cabinet. When I confronted him, his eyes got all watery. Told me his wife needed special meds their insurance wouldn't pay for. Said he was desperate. I felt bad, you know? So instead of calling cops, I helped them sign up for some assistance programs. Big mistake. About 6 months later, I started feeling off. Kept forgetting stuff. Would find myself standing in rooms not knowing why I went there. My boss sent me home one day when I couldn't remember our company password I'd used for 5 years. Ended up in the hospital after I passed out at the grocery store. Doctor said my blood had enough sedatives to knock out someone twice my size. While I was there, my neighbor Deb visited. Mentioned she'd seen Martin using my spare key to go into my house almost every day when I should have been at work. Police found out he'd been putting crushed pills in my coffee, my sugar bowl, even soaking some into my bread. They found this journal where he wrote everything down like some sick science experiment. Each day, He'd write down how much medicine he gave me and how I acted. The last pages talked about getting me to sign over power of attorney once I was properly conditioned. His words. Police checked into other people Martin had helped after their spouses died. 7 people in our senior community had died in the last 3 years, all after Martin became their caretaker. Sometimes I still wake up thinking I hear someone in my kitchen. I've moved away now, but I can't stop checking my food. Can't trust anyone anymore. The scariest monsters aren't under your bed. They're bringing you soup when you're sick and offering to fix your leaky pipes. Just be careful who you let into your life. That's all I wanted to say.